What's up, everybody? We're live. Greetings from sunny Florida. What's up? Philip Rosado here, live with L'Oreal Pro Education US, doing a little digital cutting. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is disconnection versus undercut. What's the difference and why? So last week, I talked about my 4 W's, the where, what, when, and why. So this week, I'm going to be talking about disconnections versus undercutting. So what's the biggest difference? And for me, what I discovered in the 25 plus years I've been doing hair, the biggest difference between disconnection and undercut is your lines in section and the placement of that. Can you guys all hear me okay? Make sure you have thumbs up. You can see everything okay. Make sure you just let me know, just comment below. Thank you guys for joining us today. I'm going to be here live in Orlando, Florida. My name is Philip Rosado at Edu Salon. So normally, obviously, we'll be open, but obviously under our crazy situation that we have going on, we are not. So I decided to leave the house and come to the salon and make myself a nice presentation for you guys here in front of our amazing L'Oreal products. So the number one difference between disconnection and undercutting is placement. So undercut usually will live below recession. Disconnection really can happen anywhere within the haircut. That's the whole thing. So I'll see you guys later. Today's class is done. Just kidding. Anyway, so the main thing is, again, lines in section. So on my mannequin today, what I'm going to do is just start this specific undercut, but I'm going to leave her a little bit longer. The other question you have to ask your client or your guest or yourself before you do any type of undercutting is, are you going to be okay with the grow out? The grow out is one of the most important things to ask your guests, because sometimes it could be a scenario where, yeah, you want to shave all of this underneath, but that takes about 1 year to grow into anything where you can kind of create a different shape, right? So if your client's okay with that, then just go for it. If they're not okay with that, then you have to kind of come up with a different concept, and then that's where disconnection can come in. I see you guys laughing out there. You guys okay? Are you laughing at me, or what's the deal?
Sebastian Color says, dude, you are the man.
Oh, what's up, Sebastian? I love you. Hope you're keeping safe up there in Boston area. So essentially, just make sure anytime you're doing your undercutting, your clients are going to be okay with the grow out. The grow out is one of the things that I think a lot of people don't talk about, because it sometimes, obviously, when you want a big change or you want to do something different, you have to consider the grow out and what does that look like, right? So on my mannequin today, I'm going to do what I always like to refer as block graduation, but I'm going to show you a cool technique. So you can see, can everybody see okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up. So what I'm going to do is, I took a diagonal back section, so to round it off right below the occipital bone and right to the recession. If you go too high, it becomes a little bit harder to blend, right? So you always want to have a nice amount of hair within the recession to the natural part, all right? So one trick that I've discovered is, anytime you're splitting the head either in half from recession to recession or from top to bottom like I'm doing here, you can create, take this, and you see this angle? Can you guys see that okay? I'm just gonna slice this out. So you see the way I'm holding my hands. I just want to make sure you guys can see. Can you guys see that? I'm holding that hand. You see when I let that go, it's going to fall within this line. So the reason why I did that is when also I sectioned, she was pre-cut, so her layers lived around her jawline. So I know that this is going to marry the top. So that would be considered disconnection. So if I did that, I can go in here and just start point cutting that out. I know all this is going to be removed, so I want to eliminate that as soon as possible. And then I can drop the top and then creates a double soft disconnected line. So I want to go a little bit shorter. So I want to repeat that again. So I'm going to take this angle, follow that with my shears, go short to long. So by doing the short to long, what I'm going to do is cut it quite shorter, create a short to long perimeter, which almost creates like a bob finish, right? So when you do that, you loosen up that quite a bit, and it starts collapsing, which I like. And I'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So I really like that length. Once I drop this, I know that this is going to live over that. So I'll show you that here in a second. Are you guys doing good today? Again, welcome. My name is Philip Rosado here in Orlando, Florida. I'm at my salon called Edu Salon. So go check us out there as well. Obviously, we're doing a lot of digital education at L'Oreal. Has been amazing. So all of the LP artists around the country are doing some fun, creative stuff. Today we're gonna, at 3 o'clock, Sophia from Atlanta, from Muse Salon, amazing Sophia. She's gonna be doing brands in your bathroom, which is gonna be fun at 3 o'clock, so cool. So I'm gonna lift this up. Again, short to long, and you'll start slicing that out. So again, since I'm going through the perimeter, you're keeping the angle short to long and tightens all of this. You can see how that got tight, and then you just point cut that out. Point cut that out. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So this is a really super, super easy, fast technique. Again, I'm going to go from right behind the ear, taking this section, using the chin as my guide, going like this, short to long, and just slicing out. So when you do that, obviously the longer you want it, the more severe the angle is going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and see where that lives. When you do that, you get automatic softness. Now, I personally love offset haircuts. Sometimes not too offset, just a slight bit. It just makes the haircut unique, makes it your own. So just by over directing it, getting that angle from short to long, you'll get a nice short to long edge on the perimeter. So you can see, and then you just visually cut that to your taste. So there's my natural guide going in through the back, and you're gonna see where I'm gonna connect here and here. Now you could do it just like that, but if I did that, it's gonna leave a lot of weight in here. So I wanna eliminate the weight. So just by over directing, keeping that line short to long is the key. And just slicing out. Slicing all that out. And you can see where it automatically gets softer, and then I'll just go ahead and visually point cut that out. You guys have any questions, shout them out at me. Let me know what's happening. Make sure you can hear me, you can see me. If you have any questions, Sir Wayne is in the cameras right now. He's helping us here. Just elevating this up, doing a little bit deep point cutting. Anywhere you see the weight, so you can see that line automatically has a nice bob, lob feel. And then you start looking at the balance of it. Again, I like it where it's a little bit offset. I'm okay with that because I know that for me, that's just an optional length. I can always balance that out when we dry it. So I'm gonna take the top down, and you're gonna see when you drop the top how just by doing that undercut with elevation, you create really nice movement and flow. This will create an awesome grow out as well. I'm all about the grow out. I think a lot of cutters out there might think about more immediate instead of like how is this haircut gonna look when it grows out.
We have a question from Frank Rose.
Frank Rose, what's up, Frankie? How are you?
The higher the elevation, the shorter your end.
Ooh, is the higher elevation.
Sorry, he says, is the higher the elevation, softer your end?
Is the higher elevation softer on my end? On the ends. Well, okay, so depending how high the elevation goes, you're saving length. So if I'm going, let's just say this is my length, right? I'm going really super high. You're not going to cut a lot of weight out here. You'll just soften the perimeter and it'll go down. So let's try that here, actually, because I like that question. So if I take this whole piece, I know that this has to live below that. So if this travels all the way up, I can't cut it here. So the idea is to cut this up here to this length. So visually, if I take all of this section, visually drop it, and I see where I need to cut, I'm going to go in and take all that, because it's the shorter or the less dense side, short to long, and start creating a lot of internal layering, but still that short to long angle. So when that drops, it drops over that line. So the cool thing is, like what Frankie was asking, is are you going to be able to kind of blend that, or will it do the same by doing it longer? Yeah, it'll do it, but it's going to be lower and you'll see through more. So now here I can just take this, I can visually cut that out according to my desired end result. So again, this is really visual, so I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. I think in the beginning of my career, I always was fearful of, oh my God, my haircut's off, or it sucks because it's off. Now I really enjoy haircuts that are a little bit offset and have these little lengths that are appearing that makes it more lived in feel, right? So it's a little bit softer, more beachy, however you want to approach that. So you can see how it'll collapse it, but still leaves it quite nice and thick in there. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You can see that right here, we're not dealing with a lot of hair that needs to come off, but here is where that length needs to come off, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and lift all of this up. I'm going to stay with the short to long theory and just slice it all out. And by creating that slice, I'm creating nice random pieces that are short to long. And when you do that, you create just a lot of pieciness and a lot of movement according to your end result. So again, I'm just carrying this whole section, and you see my little guide there. So I knew that I only had to cut a little tiny bit in that front piece. So I'm elevating everything up. And then once you drop that, you can see that it's now going to start blending, right? And now I can go in and visually cut that. So again, this is a quick, fun shape to create that would be disconnected. You see here, you see that, where is that coming from? You just get rid of it, all right? Now when you do that, if you slice it, it'll kind of create a lot of movement that you're not going to indent the hair anywhere. And then anything that might be heavy, just lift it and then slice it out a little bit, just on the pieces that are a little bit too long.
Adriano here asks, when you dry the hair, will you go back in and tweak some pieces?
Oh yeah, always. So if I don't do this, I do a lot of dry cutting. So if I do this on dry, we'll definitely have to go and take some of the weight out. So when you, again, like what I was doing last week for the 4 W's is, one of the W's is weight. And you can only see the weight when it's dry. So I can see where there's a little bit of pieces that are a little bit off, and I'm okay with that. All I do is just pick that up and then slice it out. You can also back cut it a little bit. And by back cutting, you can't really see where the layers are going to start. It eliminates that piece versus you just cutting it and then creating a hard line. So a little bit back cutting. So that's cut 1. So that's basically a disconnected haircut. You guys like it? Thumbs up. I'm going to have this one dried by Sir Wayne, and then I'm going to go ahead and create an undercut. All right. So you guys are starting to see the difference with what undercuts are versus disconnection. So the first haircut was disconnected. This is gonna be an undercut. So basically somebody who says, I want something different, my hair is short, but usually women that have short hair, if it grows out to a certain length, they feel, oh, it's really long. Have you ever had that where you had clients come in and they feel, oh, I need to go get a haircut, and their friends are saying, well, your hair is so short, but to them, it's very long. So let's pretend she's been growing her hair out, but hates it, now wants to go short, and she wants to do something a little bit different. She grew out her pixie, which was really nice, little shape. So what I'm gonna do now is let's create more of an undercut. So undercut, like I was saying earlier, lives under the recession. So the recession is where the furthest of your hairline, the furthest back your hairline goes. So it lives around there. I like to always round my lines and sections. And when you do that, you just create a little bit softer. The more horizontal the section, the harder the cut is gonna look, more military or more intentional. So if you go more diagonal, it's gonna be a little bit softer, right? So let's go ahead and.
Karen_Bateri said depending on the texture.
Always, always, always. Thank you, Karen. Always depends on the texture for sure. You gotta be mindful, texture, density of hair, wear, placement, all of it. You gotta be cautious to all of it. And for me, you have to be aware of the grow out. It's so important how people are, what is their desired end result, but are they gonna be okay with the grow out? So with her hair right here, I'm just gonna take this. And then I'm going to.
Shasta Rosado said, how do you find somebody's recession?
How do you find somebody's recession? Shasta Rosado, what's up? Shasta Rosado. How do you find somebody's recessions? Just by combing the hair back and seeing where the hairline goes back the furthest. With mannequins are a little bit tricky. I always like to use the corner of the eye or the eyebrow to kind of pinpoint where that recession is going to be or living. So great question, thank you for asking. So again, I'm just using my clippers and going right up to that line. So now I'm creating the undercut. So I'm using my clippers, but I'm open, so they're about a half. Obviously, we can use a 2 or 3, 1, you can scissor over comb this. Usually scissor over comb on undercuts are really nice, but for today's class, I wanted to create something that's a little bit more aggressive, if you will, where you can see the actual undercut. So once that is established, I'm just gonna move to the other side and allow this to start living like so. And when you do that, you can see one of the other things that a lot of people might not mention is how low or how much you wanna see how much do you want to see the undercut, right? So when you're sectioning, I always like to do one side, take a step back, and then take a look and see, is it going to be balanced? And where does that weight live, right? So you can see how another thing that I didn't talk about earlier, undercutting, when you have somebody that has thick hair, it really leans the hair down and flattens it a little bit. So by undercutting, you can see you just kind of flatten that out a little bit, but you can't really, it didn't expose it because I didn't go real high. If you go higher on the hairline, it will then expose the undercut more. So again, client by client, case by case, density by density, curly, thick, all that, take in consideration when you're cutting.
I am Frank Rose said recession is key, and Francisca_Shine Hair Studio say clients freak out when they see the clippers.
Oh yeah, clippers. I think clippers are one of those things is kind of, when your clients are ready for a change And obviously, you want to talk to your client and your guests and make sure that they're going to be prepared for what's happening. But usually, if they have short hair, they're used to having tight hair, right? So you can do that with scissor over comb. Again, for today's class, digital learning, what I'm using is opening my guard and just going all the way up to that line. And by doing that, it's just going to create a nice, stronger. And what I like to do anytime I'm using my clippers over my scissors, clippers, you don't necessarily, you can go too high, right? So by giving the clippers a stopping point, it will help you not go too high and reach your desired line. So just going in here with my clippers that's open on a half, and then just taking that all the way through. If you guys are loving, how are you guys loving this digital learning? Obviously, we're all wishing we could be cutting hair behind the chair, but LP, L'Oreal Pro Education US has really given us this platform to share with you guys a little bit of digital learning. So we really, really, really want to acknowledge and appreciate LP and L'Oreal as a brand for doing all they're doing for us.
My parents said that was, my gosh, it's blowing up.
What's up, people?
Jessica does my hair, says love it, salon.
So thank you guys. Thanks for all the love. I really appreciate it. We have about 5 to 6 more minutes, 7 more minutes. But you can see with the undercut how lean that hair becomes. It completely shifted. Now, if she says she loves it but wants it a little bit shorter, with undercutting, you can actually expose the underneath a little bit more by just deep point cutting, texturizing. Again, you want to be careful where you're placing the undercut. Sometimes the clients are going to be, oh, I want it super high, but you can't go that high because the grow out is not going to look right. You got to be super careful of the grow out. So as a professional, I would not recommend anything that goes up halfway or into that natural part. Obviously, case by case, sometimes they are aggressive. They might be in an industry that allows that, like if they work at a tattoo parlor, or if they're a hairstylist, or if they work for themselves, or if they work at Disney, they can't do that. So you have to be conscious of where you're cutting or how high you're cutting that undercut. All right, so she wants to expose the undercut a little bit, so I'm just gonna deep point cut her so I can expose. And the other thing with undercutting your lines in section, you'll create any line you want. You can see how I went more diagonal back and rounded it almost to like a V shape. If you like that, you can leave it. If you don't, bring it up. So now at this point is all visual. So I'm just taking out a little bit more of the weight so you can see the difference between the undercut. I want to expose the undercut, and I'm going to show you the other mannequin that Sir Wayne has really finished out for me. So I'm just going to point cut that out so I can see my undercut a little bit more. All right, so slicing, dicing. Again, this digital education, digital learning platform has been fun to see the different artists around the country, around the world with that. Just do some super awesome education. One of the takeaways, I'm always trying to be optimistic and really positive about everything. One of the things that I learned, one of the things that I was always looking at, obviously as hairdressers, as professionals, you would see YouTube famous people like be blown up and they're not even hairdressers. It's like, how the heck are these people telling our clients what is valuable and what's not, or what's trendy, what's not? And I'm super excited to see the professionals, like the pros, really do their own hair and show people what they're doing and sharing their knowledge, like the right way. So we're now leading that, right? So we're becoming the champions of do your own hair at home type of stuff. So obviously we would all love to be working in the salon right now, but we're not. So this is the next best thing. So again, I want to acknowledge LP for really creating this digital platform for all of us and all of the people who love working with the products.
Mark_Allen_Green says it's always a pleasure to watch you work. Greetings from New York.
What's up, Mark? Thank you. You're so awesome. Hope you guys are doing well up there. Warren Tricomi Salon.
Dinamu says undercuts could be a peekaboo or screaming, right? Hello from South Africa.
Oh, South Africa in the house. What's up? Yes. Could be a peekaboo or it could be screaming, hey, I'm undercut. So again, that's client by client, case by case. So again, depending on how you're wanting to create that, at this point it's simply all visual for me. I just want to bring it up so I can expose underneath, and I'm going to push everything forward and then maybe square that front piece out. So taking that fringe, pinching it in, and just creating a nice, more heavier block fringe. And so by doing that, it creates a little bit more of a modern finish as well. By pinching it, creates a little bit of an arc, which is cool. Or if you don't want that arc, then take it away. Again, super visual, super exciting. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Again, I'm Philip Rosado, Orlando, Florida, LP artist. I'm on the design cutting team, as you can tell. And I'm going to finish her hair with a little bit of architecture. Just use a little bit on my fingernail. Then put in my palm of my hand, shake it up really good until it almost disappears, and then style it out. So I think the trend is kind of really pushing that forward. Even maybe up and back creates more of a modern finish and also exposes the undercut. So depending on how or where you place the undercut will determine how the finish is going to be. Obviously, clients are going to dictate a lot of that in your consultation. So here's just all visual. Again, this is super fun, more creative. I'm just slicing, doing some deep, deep channel cutting. I'm going through it, just eliminating weight. You guys have any questions? We have a couple minutes left. I wanted to showcase my other haircut. How's that look? Does that look okay? Looks all right. So you can see it is edgy. The fringe is low because I always like to leave an option if the client guest wants to fold it back, wear it forward, play with it. So it's just fun. You can see again, this is considered more of an undercut, and you can expose the undercut according to what your guests want, right? And then here's my other. Here's the other disconnected version of lob, bob, however you want to place it. So this is my version of disconnected versus undercut. So you can see disconnection is going to grow out really, really soft, really, really pretty. It's going to be blending. And one of the key things is where you're placing the disconnection. So the disconnection lives around the parietal ridge through the crown.
Fabiano Hair Redressing is asking what's your favorite product to finish with?
Architecture. Architecture is my favorite product to finish. So with her, I'm just going to detail her a tiny bit. We have like...
Blade 38 said, could you combine with razor cutting on short undercut?
Can you combine? Yes, you can use any tool you want. You can use the razor, you can use clippers, you can use scissor over comb. So I just want to take a little bit more of that weight out. So I like to fold the hair over a little bit, see where the weight is living. You can do this too, zigzag it, lift that up. Gives you a little bit more option, but I really want remove some weight. So I'm going quite deep, elevating it at 90 straight out of the head shape, and then moving down. So when you move down, you're kind of creating layers inside of layers, and that's going to soften it even more. So I like the randomness of the bottom. Again, if you go in and cut it, you're going to create too much of a strong line. So elevate it and slice that out. And when you do that, create something really, really, really fun, a little bit more creative. I believe disconnected haircuts grow out really, really nice, a lot nicer than a harder line undercut, but that is my opinion. Obviously, it's case by case, anywhere you go. So again, my name is Philip Rosado here at Edu Salon in Orlando, Florida. LP artist for 9 years. I'm super excited to be on this platform and sharing a little bit of the ins and outs of cutting. So today we talked about disconnection and undercutting. So I'm just going through it and finishing her off by elevating her 90 from the head, deep, deep, deep point cutting, and then moving that down, creating a little bit more internal layering. So again, just going through there, and then I'll probably finish with architecture.
Shasta Rosado is asking how deep is too deep and when point cutting?
Ooh, how deep is too deep? You don't want to, when you pick up the hair and it folds, you don't want to go super deep, but depending on the size of your section. If you're on the perimeter, you're just going 1 to 2 inches to kind of take out weight here, but if I want to take out a lot of weight, I go really deep. If you go within half of the length of the hair, then you want to slice it. So if you just pick that up, do a little bit of visual slicing. That'll give you a little bit of direction and starts moving the hair in different ways. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's live digital learning. So I wanted to just thank everyone for joining me. I want everybody to stay safe out there, wherever you are around the world, around the globe. I know right now is a little bit crazy times, but hang tough. We will all make it through this. And don't forget to learn with all LP artists. And we stand for pros, all right? These are undercut, disconnection. You have a question? We're good? Thank you guys. I love you. Thank you. We stand for pros.